The sea was angry that night. It roared like a great beast. Our little boat, the sea serpent, was just a toy in its giant hands. Waves crashed over the deck. They were as tall as houses. The wind screamed in the darkness, tearing at the sails. I remember the sound of wood splintering. It was a terrible, final sound. Then there was only the cold, black water. I held on to a piece of the broken mast. It was my only friend in the chaos. I saw two other shapes in the water nearby. They were my crewmates, Arthur and Finn. We were just strangers then, brought together by the sea. We didn't speak, we just held on, fighting the waves, praying for the morning to come. The morning came slowly. It painted the sky in soft colors of pink and orange. The sea was calmer now, almost gentle. It pushed us towards a thin line of land on the horizon. My arms ached. My whole body felt like one big bruise. I could see the shore getting closer. It was a strip of white sand. Behind it was a thick wall of green jungle. Trees with huge leaves stood like silent watchers.
Land, we have to swim for it.
We followed him, using the last of our strength. We crawled onto the beach like newborn turtles. The sand was warm under our tired bodies. For a long time, we just lay there. We let the sun warm us. The world was quiet except for the gentle sound of the waves. It was a beautiful place. The sand was as white as sugar. The water was a clear, brilliant blue. Palm trees swayed in the light breeze, but it was also empty. There were no houses, no boats, no people, just us. 3 men who had survived a shipwreck. We were alive, but we were lost. We had nothing but the wet clothes on our backs and the strange, quiet island that was now our home.
We need water, fresh water, and we need to see what's on this island.
Well, at least we don't have to pay for this holiday. We were a strange trio. The thinker, the strong one, and me, the one who made bad jokes. We stood on the edge of the jungle, ready to face our new life. Our first task was to find something to drink. Arthur led the way into the jungle. He was careful, watching where he stepped. He told us to look for low ground, where water might collect. The jungle was thick and loud. Strange birds called from the high trees. The air was heavy and wet. I followed behind, feeling a bit useless. I just kept looking over my shoulder, half expecting a tiger to jump out. After what felt like hours, we heard it, a small, trickling sound. We found a little stream of clear water running over smooth stones. We fell to our knees and drank. It was the best water I'd ever tasted. Next, we needed a place to sleep, a place that was safe and dry.
This will do. The rock will keep the wind off us. It's high enough so we can see the sea.
Our job was to build a shelter. I helped by gathering big palm leaves. We spent the whole day working, our hands getting sore and blistered. We didn't talk much, we just worked. As the sun began to set, our shelter was finished. It wasn't a house, but it was something. It had 3 walls and a roof of leaves. It was our home. We sat inside watching the sun go down over the ocean. The sky turned a brilliant red. We had found water and we had built a home. We were starting to feel like we could survive. That evening I found some strange-looking fruits.
Looks at the fruits carefully. We shouldn't eat them until we know they're safe.
He was always the sensible one. So we were hungry, but we were safe. That was enough for our first day. We were tired, but we were together. In the morning, we started our next big project. We needed a signal for help.
A fire. We need a big fire on the beach. The smoke will be seen for miles.
But making a fire without matches is not easy. Still nothing. I felt hopeless, but then Arthur had another idea. We watched, holding our breath. A tiny wisp of smoke appeared, then another, and then a small flame was born. We had fire. The days turned into weeks. We had a routine. In the morning, we would check our fire on the beach. We kept it going all the time. I learned how to find coconuts and open them. Arthur worked on making our shelter better. He was always thinking of ways to improve things. We were surviving, we were working together, but living so close to each other was not always easy. The island was big, but sometimes it felt very small. The arguments started over small things. One day I used too much of our precious firewood.
We need to be careful with our resources, Liam. You can't just be wasteful. We don't know how long we'll be here.
I was just trying to keep the signal fire big. Isn't that what you wanted? The air was thick with our anger. For the rest of the day, we didn't speak to each other. We worked on our own tasks in a stony silence. The happy feeling of teamwork was gone. That night, as we sat around the fire, the silence was uncomfortable. I looked at Arthur, who was staring into the flames. I looked at Finn, who was cleaning his fishing spear. We were like 3 separate islands. I knew I had to say something. I'm sorry, Arthur, you were right. I should have been more careful.
I'm sorry too, Liam, I shouldn't have shouted.
Then a strange sound came from my stomach, a loud gurgle. It broke the silence. Arthur started laughing too. Soon all three of us were laughing. It felt good to laugh again. The argument and the laughter that followed changed something between us. We were not just three strangers trying to survive anymore. We were friends. We started to talk more. I told them about my dream to be a comedian. I practiced my jokes on them. Most of them were terrible, but sometimes I made Finn smile. He would bring me a special shell he found, or help Arthur lift a heavy log without being asked. We were learning to understand each other. We were becoming a team, a strange little family. One day, while exploring further into the island, we found something that made us stop. It was a path. Not a path made by animals, but a path made by people. It was old and overgrown, but it was definitely a path. A feeling of excitement and fear washed over me. We were not the first ones here. We followed the path carefully. It led us up a hill. The jungle was thick here, and it was hard to see. The air felt different here. It was quiet and a little bit spooky. At the top of the hill, we found it. A radio tower. It was old and rusty. Big vines grew all over it like green snakes. It was broken and silent, but it was a clear sign. Someone had been here before us. Someone with technology. Near the tower was a small, ruined hut. Inside we found a few things. A rusty tin cup, a torn piece of a map, and a logbook. The pages were damp and stuck together, but we could read some of the writing. It was a diary. It told the story of a man who had been shipwrecked here, just like us. He had lived here for years all alone. He had built the tower, trying to call for help. The last entry was dated 10 years ago. We never found out what happened to him.
We can fix it, or we can use parts from it. We have metal, we have wire. If we can build a device, a big one, we can reflect a signal from a passing satellite or plane.
It sounded like magic to me, but Arthur explained it with drawings in the sand. For the next week, we worked harder than ever before. I helped Arthur clean them and straighten them. Arthur was the brain, designing our strange new machine. We built our device on the highest point of the beach. It was a large, strange-looking dish made of metal sheets from the tower, all held together with vines. Arthur connected it to a battery we had found in the ruined hut. He said it still had a little bit of power left. We turned it on. Nothing happened. We waited all day. The sun beat down on us. We waited all night, taking turns to watch. Hope began to fade. Then, just as the sun was rising on the third day, we heard it. A faint noise, a distant whirring sound. We looked up. It was a helicopter, a tiny black dot in the blue sky. It was getting bigger. It was coming for us. We jumped and shouted and waved our arms. We were saved. As we climbed into the helicopter, I looked back at our island. Then I looked at Arthur and Finn. We had arrived as strangers. We were leaving as brothers.
We had arrived as strangers. We were leaving as brothers.